Hi everyone, it's Will here, your fellow car enthusiast. And this week I happen to be driving the 2025 Ford Mustang GT V8 with a manual transmission and a convertible too at that. And I thought it would be a good idea to do a video about manual transmissions. So driving this car again, it made me think back to when I first started learning, and I did own a manual transmission vehicle, a Mazda 3, which was a great vehicle, by the way. And I thought I would talk a little bit about this transmission and its appeal and some of its benefits. So some people have no interest in learning. They have no desire. They just want an easy drive, and that's fine too. It's really no problem. It's all personal preference, right? But the reason why so many car enthusiasts like manual transmissions, for one, is the control. So you control when you do the shifting as opposed to a computer doing it for you. It's an automatic transmission, but you get to control the revs by default. And also, even cars that are not that powerful by nature, when you have that manual transmission, it's a lot more fun because you can wring out that engine. And so it's a lot more of an engaging drive as well, because you're doing the work, and it's a nice rewarding feeling, to be able to have those revs swell, and then with one shift it goes down, and you keep accelerating. So it's the control and the engagement. And I would say also one other benefit is the fact that with the manual transmission, because you control when to shift, you're able to maximize the power and the potential of an engine. So it goes back to what I was saying earlier, some cars, even when they're not that powerful, they're still fun to drive because you get to control the revs. But it's not, it's easy, it's easy, but it's not easy. It's not easy in the beginning when you're trying to learn. Really, the hardest part is getting going from a standstill. And also in the beginning, at least, just, when you have to slow down for speed bumps or getting into a plaza, or even the fear that you might stall it when you're at an intersection making a left turn. And that one in particular, just trying to make a left turn, and we're being worried that you'll stall. That was a big challenge that I overcame, and I never did, thankfully. But that's one thing that you fear. You fear that, oh no, what if I stall? And there's an oncoming car, and he or she can't stop in time, and he's going to nail me. But part of it is just facing the fear anyways, and having the confidence to drive in all situations. And obviously you have to practice a little bit, but it gets better with time, and then eventually it honestly becomes second nature. Eventually you'll be able to have a Bluetooth conversation while you're driving the manual. But I want to share some tips in terms of what I went through when I was learning. And one thing I wish I learned was that you can actually lift up on the clutch pedal without giving any gas, and you can feel it engage a little bit. I wish I knew that in the beginning, but once I figured that out on my own, it's really just an interplay and a balance between just letting off the clutch pedal enough and giving enough gas to get going. Really the hardest part is getting going from a standstill. But you can do it. You're going to feel kind of nervous the first few weeks. If you happen to buy a manual vehicle and you're just learning, you're going to be very, very hyper aware. And that's another benefit of driving a manual, right? It forces you to be aware of road conditions. And for example, if you see a red light ahead, you have to slow down, you have to either downshift or maybe get into neutral. So it forces you to become a better driver too, I would say. And you're going to feel a little bit nervous. You're going to be hyper aware, and it's going to you feel humbled, right? Because you're learning, and you're going to be a lot more patient on the road in the beginning. But it's definitely worthwhile. Especially another benefit too is if you travel to Europe and you want to rent a vehicle, they offer cheaper rates if you're able to drive a manual and you rent a manual vehicle. So that's something to keep in mind too. And what else? I mean, yeah, in the beginning, the bottom of your foot is going to feel sore from, constantly pressing on the clutch. Your knees might be a little bit sore, and, you're going to be, your heart rate's going to be beating a little faster because you're hyper aware, like I was saying. But over time, as you get comfortable, you're going to get used to it, and you're going to learn, if you happen to buy a manual transmission vehicle, you're going to learn, its characteristics and, where the right balance is between giving enough gas and letting off the clutch pedal to drive smoothly. And in time, honestly, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And I'm sure people watching this video, other people who know how to drive a manual. And I would say if you can learn from a friend or a loved one, that would be most ideal. There are schools that offer the training, but one of the more important things is that as you're learning, it's nice to have somebody to lean on and ask questions and to kind of share your struggles and experience. I found that to be very helpful. I had a friend, well, he's still my friend, Charles, and also my best friend from childhood, Hosam, who first taught me how to drive a manual transmission. Those guys were instrumental in being a sounding board for me to ask questions and for example, like, hey, is this normal? Were you able to get better at this in time? And they did, and that just gives you that extra encouragement. So if you're interested in learning or you want to learn, do it. It's really worthwhile. Find someone who you're close with, pay them some money if you have to, for gas and for, putting some stress on their clutch. And if you really, really want to learn, you can learn it. You need to have that will, and you need to have that willingness to learn. And sometimes, you can even force yourself, buy a manual vehicle, buy that manual vehicle and force yourself to learn. And the one final thing I want to say too is that one of the most annoying things that I see online whenever a new vehicle gets introduced, people in the comment section just automatically write off the car as shitty or not good just because it doesn't come in a manual transmission. So because I work in the automotive industry and I write training content for a couple of car companies, the reason why very few companies make manual transmissions now is because nobody buys them. Honestly, nobody buys them, especially right now with, in most major cities, there's a lot of traffic. There's always construction. It can be tiring driving manual, starting and stopping. But I don't want people to just automatically write off a car or just, say it's crap just because it doesn't come in a manual. And, chances are the vast majority of those people saying that, they're not even going to buy the car or they're not in a position to buy the car. So, that's just the reality. People don't buy them. If you run your own business and say you have an inventory item that costs you money to make and stock, if nobody's buying them, you're not going to keep it on the shelf, right? You're going to want to keep the products on the shelf that actually sell, that make you money, that help you turn over product, right? So it's the same idea when it comes to car manufacturers, and that's really the main reason why they don't offer it. So it's a very, very small minority. It's esoteric. Only certain drivers like the manual transmission, and if you don't like it, that's fine too. But just because a car doesn't come in manual, it doesn't mean it's a bad car. Okay, so that's just something I wanted to get off my chest. So I hope this video helped a little bit. If you were thinking about learning how to drive one, or you've tried it a few times and you felt discouraged, or even if you want to buy your own manual transmission vehicle, I highly encourage it if you like driving and if you just want to add another skill set to your car enthusiasm or your life skill set, because it is something that's very useful. You can go anywhere. If you're in Europe, if you're in a developing country and it's a manual transmission, you can drive it. You can be the hero amongst your friend group if you're the one who knows how to drive the manual. And you can enjoy a lot more vehicles too. If you were to buy a track experience day, for example, you can choose the car that comes in manual to enjoy and check out. So it's really worthwhile. It's a good skill, and just do it. I hope this video gave you a little bit of encouragement and just hopefully that little push. And if you have any other questions, you're more than welcome to leave them in the comments, or maybe you can share some of your experiences learning back in the day, and maybe whoever reads your comment, that might help him or her too. So thanks very much for watching.